So the mountain you see in front is Mount Vesuvius, the most dangerous volcano in the world in terms of lives it could take directly. You've got about 3 million people living in the danger zone and continuing to live in the danger zone. And what I'm now going to do is to show you why and what can happen. This is Pompeii, which was destroyed on the 25th of August 79 CE, and beyond Pompeii we can see the Bay of Naples, there's the Sorrento Peninsula, and in the Roman times the sea was much closer. I've got a feeling it may have been even filled in to some extent by tetra, which was thrown out by the volcano, but to give an idea of the amount of tetra that was thrown out by the volcano, I'm standing now on a bit of a ridge, admittedly, but you imagine that this town was buried under 6 meters of tetra, that's volcanic material, and the amount that it must have been in the volcano to actually cover such a huge area, and this explains why it was not discovered for, well, 1,500 years almost after the eruption. The walls themselves are very high. They date to the time one of the towers on there dates to the time of the Punic Wars. That's 2,200 years ago. Incredibly good condition. Now, the roofs of the buildings, I suspect, are recent works, because during the eruptions I doubt that many ones would have survived with the amount of material that was being thrown out of the volcano. What would have happened? There would have been an explosion and it would have sent gases up into the atmosphere, some 15 kilometers or so, which would then have solidified, formed pumice, and then came back and rained on the town we see below. Final destruction that would have come from either a pyroclastic flow or a pyroclastic surge. So material that's being thrown out of the volcano coming down the side of the mountain. The temperature of around 500 degrees centigrade. And the advantage, if that's the right word, for tourists today is that there's hardly any oxygen left in the air, which allow things to survive. When I say the word advantage, I say it with a certain amount of cynicism. People at the time, of course, didn't know what was going on, although Pliny the Elder was with his son, his adopted son I should say, Pliny the Younger. He saw what was going on, he understood what it was, I think, and he described it for us. I haven't filmed the whole place. You can see little clips of places around. I don't know enough about it to do that. But Pompeii as a town today, it's quite bustling. I've talked to people about the volcano. They don't seem to take it in their stride, but one thing's absolutely certain is it's going to blow up again. As far as I can tell though, there's next to no evacuation plan in place. So between the high walls of ancient Pompeii with the view of the volcano that destroyed the town. I mentioned the date, 25th of August, although I've read articles which suggested that wasn't the date, because people were wearing warmer clothes, and apparently a coin was found which wasn't minted until September of that year, which may indicate that the date that we have is incorrect. I'll write a bit more about that in the information below. So this is the house of Lucrezio Frontone, and he was a magistrate probably, or he wanted to get involved in politics, and this is the atrium of his home, and above you can see a typical entrance for an atrium into which rainwater would fall, and around it we had a room which he used to do his business, so people would come and see him and they would talk about what they wanted to do, and if he wanted to get himself involved in politics he might have had some sponsors or people he promised to do things for in exchange for other things and this type of thing. And off this we have a number of smaller rooms, and as we can see here, and this was the public part of his home, and the private part is through here. Now in his meeting place we saw there's some doors there. Now obviously these doors are new, but then they were older. They were from the Roman time, and they separated his private and his public life, and this is his private quarters. Now there's some steps leading up into the first floor, and that's where the slaves would have slept, probably in a dormitory or something of that nature. Through here we've got the kitchen, and there we can see the chimney for the stove, and and here we have this rather Greek garden with what would have been the sleeping quarters off it. And off the sleeping quarters they would have been things that wouldn't have had doors, they would probably had some kind of a bit of cloth or whatever to separate the clothes. And even husband and wife then didn't sleep together. And we've got these magnificent, absolutely magnificent paintings. I think how old these are now, showing animals, including some animals there which you wouldn't get in these parts. That's a lion and a red deer. And lions, of course, were never found in Europe, but they were found in North Africa, and there we have a leopard as well, also from North Africa, of course, extinct now in these areas, and that appears to me to be a bear. I've got to say that this house, more than any other, has made a really magnificent impression on me. I think any young person coming here would want to be an archaeologist. It's absolutely fascinating to see what's here, what's still to be done, what could be done. Take this place here, the colour on the walls, for example, how old is it? And there, this place, what was it once? That's a good question. I've noticed in some places, now I don't know the answer to this, is there is pumice on the walls, so that it's a volcanic material, and I wonder how that happened. Did they build it after the eruption of 79 CE, or was it from earlier eruptions? But there you go. So that's volcanic. All that stone there. Of course, the Romans at the time wouldn't have known where pumice came from, and I wouldn't have thought it would make such a good material for building. Although I'm sure for insulation it's far better than most stone. I'm surmising that, by the way, I don't know. Of course it'd have to be built with something on either side, I imagine. It was that part of the sock. Atrium. see everywhere, was apparently originally yellow and it turned red because of the gas during the eruption. And that is an unusual table leg setup, which was made for one of the people who killed Caesar, and who died a couple of years later, and the owner of this place somehow acquired it later. So that is made of marble and is well over 2,000 years old. This is a laundry discovered between 1912 and 1914, and what we see there is a bath which would be filled with urine or other cleaning agents, and slaves would wash in the urine, maybe stamping on it or whatever, and that would get grease out. And often these places had a bowl for people to urinate in the street, so they would actually get their urine in that way. And this offered all sorts of other cleaning services. And this one belonged to somebody called Stephanus. And we can see the walls, how they've been painted. Although restoration is due on this particular building.
Nou, dit is dus onderzocht.
This may have been the place where Pompeii was discovered. Between 1594 and 1600, Domenico Fontana was in the process of building a canal to bring water to Torre Annunziata, and whilst he was doing this work he found Pompeii, although it needs to be pointed out that not much was done with that until around about 150 years later, but he was the first one to rediscover it.